The late afternoon sun hung low over our Texas ranch, casting long shadows across the rolling hills, when my daughter Sophie's scream tore through the stillness like a bullet. I was half a mile away, mending a fence, but that sound of father's worst fear hit me like a punch to the chest. Dropping my hammer, I ran toward Miller Creek, my boots pounding the earth, heart racing with a mix of terror and rage. Bursting through the cottonwoods, I saw a scene that set my blood on fire. There was Pamela Reed, the HOA president, all 5 feet of her bristling with venom, yanking the reins of Sophie's bay mare, Willow. My 16-year-old daughter was pale, her eyes wide with fear, trying to soothe her spooked horse. Pamela, wielding her clipboard like a dictator's scepter, shrieked, "Get off my community's water access, you little brat." Sophie's phone lay shattered in the dirt, clearly slapped from her hand. My gentle girl, who wouldn't swat a mosquito, was being terrorized on our own land. "This is our property, Mrs. Reed," Sophie said, her voice quivering but firm. "Willow and I ride here every day." "Not anymore," Pamela snarled, fumbling with her phone as if summoning a SWAT team. "New bylaws. This creek's HOA property now, and I'm calling the law to drag you off." I stepped from the trees, my sheriff's badge catching the fading light. "No need, Pamela," I said, my voice deceptively calm, like the hush before a tornado. "The law's already here." Pamela spun, her eyes bulging like a cornered raccoon's. For a moment, panic flickered across her face, but she rallied, all bluster. "Sheriff Mike Turner," she screeched, perfect timing. "Arrest this girl for trespassing on HOA land." I ignored her, going to Sophie. "You okay, kiddo?" She nodded, tears welling, and fell into my arms as she slid off Willow. Deputies Sam and Nate rolled up in their cruiser, lights off, having caught Pamela's dispatch call. The air crackled with tension, but Pamela was in her glory wrong, loud, and loving it. "Pamela," I said, pulling out my dog-eared property deed, "this is my land. Miller Creek runs through my property. Sophie's not trespassing." I held out the deed, but she scoffed, thrusting her clipboard forward like a shield. "That old scrap? New HOA rules trump it. This creek's for community use now." I explained, as if to a toddler, that HOA bylaws don't rewrite county land records. Her face contorted with fury, maybe at my tone, maybe at the deputy's clear allegiance to me. Then she lost it. That clipboard swung like a bat, cracking across my cheek. Pain flared, blood trickled. Sophie gasped. Sam and Nate's hands twitched toward their belts. Pamela smirked, smug as a cat with a canary. I took a slow breath. "Pamela Reed, you're under arrest for assaulting a peace officer." Her smirk vanished. "You can't arrest me. I'm HOA president." "Funny," I said, snapping cuffs on her wrists. They didn't teach that immunity in training. As Sam and Nate hauled her to the cruiser, her glare through the window was pure ice, promising vengeance. This wasn't over. At home, my wife, Claire, patched my cheek, her eyes blazing. We'd bought Triplet Ranch 10 years ago, trading city noise for wide skies and a place to raise Sophie. Miller Creek was our lifeline, feeding our cattle and our dreams. The Harmony Oaks HOA, a recent pest from the gated community next door, had been tame until Pamela seized power. A petty despot with a sharp bob and sharper grudges, she'd whined about our herd's odor and our road's dust. But this creek grab felt sinister deliberate. Our neighbor Walt, a wiry retiree with a junk-filled lot and a pack of feisty hens, had her number. "She's got devil eyes, Sheriff," he'd mutter. "Hates my rooster, Hank. Gotta be evil to hate Hank." Walt's gossip was gold, and when he found Pamela's smudged notice claiming the creek as a community waterway, we chuckled, then called our lawyer. He confirmed the HOA's claim was nonsense, but I hit their meeting to squash it. The clubhouse stank of polish and despair. Pamela lorded over a table of jittery board members, dismissing my deed and spouting fake bylaws about shared water assets. She even planned a picnic area and paddleboat dock on our creek's been Sophie's sanctuary. When I demanded she retract the notice, her cold smirk dared me to push back. Walt, sporting a tinfoil-lined hat, whispered, "Can't argue with a cobra in a blazer." He was right. This was a fight. Then came the fire. At 2 a.m., our hand Raoul called, voice shaking. "Sheriff, the north barn's ablaze." Claire and I raced out, the sky glowing orange. The barn, storing hay and willow, was a roaring hell. Raoul and the crew fought the flames, but it was futile. We couldn't reach Willow, Raoul said, his face grim. Later, the vet confirmed she'd been poisoned before the fiery a vicious, targeted act. Cut fences let our cattle roam. This screamed Pamela. My trail cams were my lifeline. One survived, its footage damning. Pamela's son, Caleb, with 2 goons, Tommy Weasel Cruz and Heavy Pete Dunn, dousing the barn, snipping fences. A distant vehicle's headlights flashed, then sped toward Harmony Oaks. Someone else was in on it. I called Judge Harper, securing warrants for Caleb and his crew. With Sam, Nate, and 2 trusted deputies, we planned a pre-dawn raid. Wald appeared with coffee and wild talk of his Spud cannon, but I tasked him with watching the ranch. Claire's voice on the phone was iron. Nail them, Mike. For Sophie, for Willow, for us. We stormed Caleb's house. Pamela's, really. He was shoving a duffel under his bed, eyes wild. Mom made me, he blubbered as we cuffed him. She said you needed teaching. The others were nabbed, but Weasel bolted into a mesquite thicket. Then Sophie screamed. She'd followed the sirens, worried, and Weasel was charging her, maybe for leverage. I hit him like a linebacker, pinning him as Sophie sobbed, unharmed. My hands shook not from effort, but from the near miss. Caleb and his pals spilled everything, fingering Pamela for the arson and Willow's poisoning. The real bombshell came when Walt, rummaging through Pamela's trash, found emails between her and Roland Vance, a slick developer with Vance Estates. Pamela had been selling him Miller Creek's water rights for a fat kickback and a sham community dock. Vance aimed to rezone our ranch for his condos, and the fire was meant to ruin us. Pamela's shredder truck and trash pickup were her panicked cover-up. Prosecutor Ellen Hayes pounced on the emails. Caleb and his crew took pleas, testifying against Pamela. Harmony Oaks residents, unshackled from her tyranny, shared tales of her bullying, some tied to Vance. In court, Pamela's haughty mask cracked as Sophie spoke of Willow's loss and the Creekside terror. You tried to torch our peace, Sophie said, staring down Pamela and Vance. You lost. The jury's guilty verdict: Pamela for assault, arson, conspiracy, Vance for bribery, fraud was quick. Pamela got years in prison, Caleb and his pals less. Vance's empire collapsed under fines, and the HOA paid dearly, funding a tribute to Willow. We cleared the barn's ashes, planning to rebuild. Sophie, sketching by the creek, named her new full Daybreak. Walt threw a victory barbecue, waving a perfume bottle filled with his fiery salsa. Miller Creek flows free, our peace hard-earned. Pamela and Vance thought they could crush us, but they didn't count on a sheriff's grit or a father's heart. Justice won, but the wounds linger, proof that some battles pick you and you'd better fight.